So after the rework, Neeko got a knock up right before her stun and the damage lands. So right there, when she jumps into the air, she knocks them up right before the stun lands. This is supposed to preemptively CC them to kind of quote-unquote guarantee that your damage and stun hits. But the thing is, you could already do this anyways before the rework. And the way to do it was to E or E flash in the middle of your R right before it lands. So see if you can catch it here. As you can see, I pressed E, and this rooted them to guarantee that my R lands. Sometimes you could also E a little bit early instead of like in the middle of the charge up. So right there. It's kind of easier to see there because I did it early. I pressed E flash. I pressed E flash pretty much as soon as I started charging up my R. So the knockup that we now get with the rework was not needed at all. You could instead use the technique I just showed you to guarantee that it always lands. In Neeko's current state, they've nerfed her in a lot of ways just because they gave her that knockup, which like I showed you wasn't necessary at all. So they decreased the damage and increased the cooldowns on Q, E, and R. R specifically I think lost 50 to 100 base damage and then a 10% AP ratio, which is a decent chunk for the AP heavy builds. Another huge problem is that you no longer get the shield that you used to get before the rework. So there's a lot of all-in situations against fighters and assassins, mid lane or top lane, where you used to be able to win those fights or even just survive just because you had that shield. So there's a lot of matchups and even side lane situations where she used to be able to compete with some champions, but now she can't even compete. She's way too weak because she doesn't have that shield. Also, you can watch any pro game at all where Neeko ults in the middle of a team fight, and you'll see that she'll do her little flash combo like this, and then she'll do no damage, and then she'll die right away. And don't laugh when you see this, but 90% of the time, that's what happens. She does very little damage, and she dies right away because she doesn't have the shield. Another big problem with Neeko is that now when she hits a wall, her clone just stops moving. But this is not what used to happen before. The normal behavior was to hit the wall and then fluidly keep running along that wall in the same direction. So the clone wouldn't go like this, right? It would go like this. But now, like you see, the normal behavior is for the clone to just stop. And let's say I point my mouse here. It'll hit the wall, but if I point it again in the same direction, you see how the clone, like W, and then I press W again, it goes the opposite way. It doesn't keep going along this side like how it used to. Now, why is this a problem? It's a problem because if you're trying to juke, say I'm trying to juke, okay, and I send my clone here and I walk this way, you see how the clone just stops moving? The enemy will immediately know that that's the clone. And if you're running away from them, right, like, so say the bad guys are over here and I'm trying to juke. So if I do the opposite thing and send the clone this way and send myself here, then I have to stop moving here like the clone's default behavior would be, right, to convince them that I'm the clone. But the problem with stopping here is that, you know, they'll catch up. Like, they'll just wait here, they'll wait for me and see if any of the clones expire, right? So basically they can camp whichever Neeko stops when they hit the wall, and you know, you can't run away from the danger any further, which is not what you want, right? Ideally, the way the old Neeko worked, I could send my clone here, hit this wall, and then continue running along that wall when it hits it. So I would create a far distance from the enemies, and they couldn't just camp my clone here. So basically your juking is a lot worse now because your clone stops moving when it hits a wall instead of running along the wall. There's also a lot of situations where I don't know if it's from taking minion damage or taking like enemy champ damage or from like bumping into minions, but there's a lot of times when you'll try and juke and your clone will just, like, instead of moving endlessly like this, the clone will just stop moving like right there, and so they'll immediately know that that's the clone. I don't know why it happens because, like, in the last 2 or 3 years I've only played Neeko like 40 times or so. And I could probably figure it out if I just played her, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason, like, the clone just stops moving there. I don't know if it's from me double tapping W or something like that. Like, I don't know if I double tap W. I think I don't, but I don't know if I do. And I've also heard the exact same complaint from other Neeko players, that sometimes your clone just like it feels like it hits a minion, or that it's taking damage and it just stops moving right at the start. So obviously your juking doesn't work because they'll know that that's the clone. And last but not least, the whole minion thing is not balanced and can't ever be balanced in the game, so they should completely remove it. The reason for this is that as humans, when we play the game, we have a limited amount of attention points, or you could just say attention span, but think of it as a resource bar. Humans have a limited amount of attention points. Say we have 100, right? And everything that happens on the screen is going to take away some of our attention points. And the thing is, our attention cannot be generated, it can only be divided. So if at the start, if I'm paying, if it's just me and the enemy champ, I'm putting 50 attention points into me, 50 attention points into the enemy champ, for example, right? Now there's minions. Now maybe I'm putting 20 into me, and then the rest is split between the minions and the enemy champ. Now my mom calls me. Now I have to divide those attention points further. Then my voice comms, someone's saying something important in the voice comms. That is, I'm dividing the attention further. And the problem with Neeko turning into a minion is that now you have to allocate extra amount of attention points to every single wave. And when waves are double stacked, you have to like press tab and see like, oh, is Neeko here? Is not here? And you have to like relook again. Like, you have to basically overly analyze every single wave in the game. And every champ has their own minigame nowadays, right? But say like the average champ minigame takes away like 5 attention points. Neeko's minion thing in comparison would take away like 20 attention points, or maybe 15 attention points. So basically, Neeko turning into a minion makes it so that all 5 enemy players, instead of being able to play League of Legends with all 100 attention points, they can now only play with 85 attention points, because the other 15 have to be spent permanently on over-analyzing every single wave. And like I said, every other champ has their minigames that takes away attention points, but Neeko turning into a minion takes away way too many attention points. So because of that, this can never be balanced and it should be removed completely from the game. Also, most of the time this shit doesn't even work, so like I actually don't know why it's still in the game. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Check out my videos below. I'll link some Neeko montages so you can verify that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I dropped tactical nukes and Challenger with this champion, so yeah. Please share this video with everyone so we can finally revert Neeko from the current abomination that it is. It used to be a complete masterpiece. Like, whoever designed this shit was a genius, and then it was just turned into whatever this fucking monstrosity is that knocks. And then it was turned into whatever this monstrosity is now. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Revert Neeko.